Hello, everybody, and welcome to a surprise episode of the HOTC podcast. We are going to be reviewing the movie Malcolm and Marie, which was something.
Was it?
It was.
I feel it was beautifully written. It was a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Opposite of most people's view on the movie. I didn't see it as toxic. I didn't see it as toxic at all.
I don't think people saw the movie as toxic. The movie, it was, there were some scenes where it was very well crafted. As far as the speech portions, like the talking was very dense. They had a lot to say in a little bit of time. But
it's a movie. They have plenty of time. They had all night.
Well, technically in the movie they had all night. But it's just like sometimes the way they were speaking reminded me of what you like, how you talk to me. It's like I just keep going. It's like, okay, well, at some point you should take a break and breathe.
Yeah, that's true.
They had a lot to say.
Yeah,
but the movie itself wasn't toxic. Acting was amazing, phenomenal, especially Zendaya.
The story was good.
The relationship between the two characters was toxic.
I wouldn't say that either.
Really?
No, I really wouldn't.
Now why? Because you want to be the oddball out and you don't want to go with everybody else and you're trying to go against the grain, or you really didn't see their relationship. You really didn't see their relationship as toxic.
No, because my perspective, my view on it is completely different, because it is a movie. The way they shot the movie and the message that they're trying to deliver within the amount of time. So they're trying to give a lot of different sides to love. So they said it's not a love story, it's a story about love. So they're giving you pretty much every side to love, in my view. So there's the highs, which is like, oh, they're sensual, they're in that moment where everything seems to be going good. And then there's the extreme lows when they're literally combating at each other, trying to stab each other in the heart. So there's this, and then there's the little bit of the hints of forgiveness, and I'm insinuated that I'm sorry, oh, it's okay. All of that stuff, or it's not the moment, trying to show restraint because you're not in the mood to have that type of conversation right now. So I just felt that they were trying to embody all the individual emotions and express the different avenues love can take. Right.
But when you couple everything together and you look at it as a whole, not the different pieces, that type of behavior compounded on one another is toxic. It's toxic to, talk somebody up and then in the very next breath, like, cut them at the knees. And then in the next breath, look at them while they're down there bleeding and point and laugh. And then the next breath say, I love you.
But that's real.
That is toxic.
But that's real life to me.
So how many relationships have you had where you and your partner are literally doing your very best to make the other person feel like crap? Because that's what was happening.
I think in all relationships it's dependent upon your perception. It's all based on your perception and how you receive what someone's giving you. So what we saw was to the max and extreme, to me, to drive a point. It is a terrible situation that they're in, but you can simply do something, and for me that's that level, but it's dependent on me on how I respond to it. And so I think everyone in their own relationships, their own situations, they receive whatever there is, what their partner is doing, and it's based on how they internalize it and then how they respond. Is it going to be, I'm going to meet you at that level,
okay, or
I'm just going to stay melancholy?
So in the movie, there's a part where he brings up, her past addiction, and if I'm not mistaken, she was cutting herself.
just so you know, we're going to be all over the place. Because this movie is all over the place, and we're not going in order. And if you haven't seen it, you about to know everything about it. So,
well,
that's just how it is.
Yeah. But, so like I said, he's talking about her past addiction and how, you know, she tried to kill herself and how she cut herself and all that kind of stuff. How do you listen in the midst of an argument, listen to your partner tell you about those things that you did as a weapon against you and be like, I'm just taking that the wrong way? You can't. There's no way to be like, he meant that out of love. I know it, because
I'm not saying that.
That is actually the toxicity. Like, that is the toxicity, to be able to use somebody's shortcomings or, you know, or their vulnerabilities that they've shared with you as a weapon against them to make yourself feel better. That is the toxic behavior.
Yeah.
So have you? Because oddly enough, we have talked about our past relationships, you know, some in great detail. But never have I ever asked you, I think that's a game too, but never have I ever asked if any of your relationships were toxic or abusive or manipulative, like I felt their relationship was in this movie.
I'm not going to say there wasn't that. I'm just saying they're really trying to drive home different aspects.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
But you did say that you didn't think it was, you said you didn't think it was a toxic relationship.
I just feel that see, to me, they're stabbing each other.
Right, which is not a healthy relationship.
It's not healthy, but I'm not going to say it's toxic. It's people literally expressing what I like about it the most is their communication.
Sucks.
Is perfect. There is no interruption. He goes off on his forever tangent about writers and all of this stuff around the mulberry bush, random stuff, and then he gets to you're selfish or insinuating she doesn't have the skills, she doesn't work in that, not trusting in her ability, all of that trash information. But he was never interrupted. That's because it was written that way. That's still a great visual on how you can communicate with each other by not interrupting.
So yes,
which is why I have a problem with. So It was nice to see there was no interruption. He laid out all of his emotions, and he did it in a terrible way. But it was honest. And it was transparent for him expressing it. He could have done it a better way so it wouldn't have hurt as much. Yes, but when you're in the moment, you're expressing whatever you're feeling at that time. Opposite side, she did the same thing. Right. She was being upfront about her feelings, her expectations, what she needed. And just he started it. Because he internalized it. So just like we're watching the movie, right? And we're saying that's extremely toxic, it's terrible. He internalized the worst of the worst, in my book, from the beginning, when she didn't just, out there dancing with him to the music, because it's his big night. Right, okay. Then, hold on, I'm almost done. Then they're in the kitchen. He's being sensual and all this stuff, and she's just interested. So for his standpoint, he's extremely vulnerable in that moment because he's expressing his emotions and say, oh, you're the best, you're the cutest, the finest, even someone else said that, blah, blah, blah. And she's just sitting there like, oh. He asked, is there a problem? No. That is a trigger, or for me, and it's a trigger for him, obviously, because he's like, nah, I know you. You sure about that? Yeah, I know you said, was it this, was it that? Because he knows there's a problem, but you don't want to admit the problem, which is stirring him up. I felt.
Wait. We're going to put a pin in that.
Yes,
because I asked you a question. Have you been in a toxic relationship?
I wouldn't know. Because my behavior could have been perceived as toxic.
I'm not talking about someone's perceived notions of the things that you were doing. I'm talking
in the relationship.
Yes. Listen. What did you just talk about? The type of communication.
Interrupting, yo.
So, what I'm talking about is, have you been in a relationship where your thought and or just that other person's thought was, I'm going to do whatever I have to do, that when we're in an argument, I cut you down to the quick. I make sure that you are basically open heart, just bleeding out. Have you ever had that desire in a relationship?
I wouldn't say that's a desire to do that.
I need you to answer my question.
Said no.
Okay.
I've never done that.
Have you ever been with someone who any and every time you guys get into an argument, they bring in every single thing they can think of that you've ever done bad or they've perceived as bad, and then on top of that try to also belittle you and make you feel like crap because of all the amazing, awesome things that they've done and or experienced?
Probably. I don't remember.
Okay, so you truly don't remember or don't know.
Which is why I say I can't remember it.
Sorry.
I guess someone might be, I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. It's really the opposite. People can really tell you if it was toxic for them. Because I didn't argue. I didn't do any of that stuff. I wasn't stabbing people with words, like verbally.
Well, you also weren't doing it literally, physically with a knife.
And I wasn't doing that either. But my actions could make someone feel that way.
Your actions could make someone feel like you don't care, but not that you're intentionally trying to hurt them. That there's a difference there.
Well,
no, trust me, because
it was kind of gray for me back then.
Even between us, there are things you do where I know your intent is not to hurt me, but it does. I just let you know, like, hey, when you said this, when you did that, like, I felt some kind of way. And then sometimes we have a conversation. Sometimes you're like, oh, okay. And then it's, that's not my intent. Yeah. And it doesn't happen again. Or to the best of your abilities, you try to remember and then it doesn't happen again. So those are two different instances where you're intentional about it to make sure that they feel like crap, and where you did something and they've internalized it and, sorry, that's a misunderstood intent. Those are two different things.
I just think it's unfair to call a snippet, one night of someone's relationship, toxic.
But that's the thing.
Because this is obviously a buildup from things that have been going on in the past that have never been expressed.
Okay, so
now that they're getting it off their chest in their own way, because what she was saying made him feel some type of way, like, damn, I really, I suck.
But did he?
Yeah, because you could tell by his face. He's just sitting there a little moat, and then he snap out of it. But no, but this.
Exactly.
But that. So he felt a certain way. He still felt a certain way. It still pricked him. And I could tell that from the emotion and how he would respond. And he was saying sorry through the thing, but he couldn't get out of his own head that no.
So there's a difference between saying sorry and meaning sorry.
Of course there is.
Okay, so but
you're in the heat of an argument.
You can say sorry 18 trillion times, but if you're actually not sorry, you're always going to find fault in somebody else because you're really not sorry. Well, I'm sorry, but you. Or I'm sorry that you. It's never actually you.
Well, he was pulling his Beyonce all night. Sorry, not sorry.
Okay. So
he was in his emotions.
Well, and then that's
just
the other thing.
Just as much as she was in her emotions.
And that's the other thing. As they were going back and forth, he took examples from everything. He grabbed pieces of, you always do this and you always do that, and then there's this, and then when he was bringing up his ex-peoples and she was in the bathtub, like,
well, there was a reason for that. There was a reason for it.
And there's another way to do it. But that's the thing. He could have just said, this movie is an accumulation of experiences with multiple people, not just you. He didn't have to go into the great details to purposefully injure her and then say, do you like being injured? Do you like having me talk to you this way? Because what she was doing was smiling, trying to hide how she was really feeling about it.
Course.
Which I know someone who smiles and laughs trying to hide behind pain. Isn't that crazy? Wow.
Who does that?
You.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Especially with the laughter. I'm like, is this funny? No, I just don't know what to do. Okay, so you laugh? Like, what? I don't know, whatever.
Laugh the pain away.
But,
anyway.
But, so, I mean, like I said, there was intent. And then if you listen to their dialogue, like he says, you always do this. She did the same thing because of his narcissism. Narcissists are rarely ever truly sorry or feel like they're at fault. So for him to say, I'm sorry, but you, it just feeds into the fact that he is a narcissist and he really isn't sorry. He's just saying what he feels he needs to say. Okay, well, the polite thing to do would be to say sorry at this point in time. So sorry. But what you really should have done was, now I do understand he was at a high moment and he wanted her to celebrate too, but obviously at some point at the movie premiere, she was already irritated because he said, like, I asked you then and you said no.
Yeah, she changed her mind. She has
and she said, I changed my mind.
She has the right to change her mind.
How
he responded was ridiculous by saying, you don't think that's crazy? Because all he's focused on is his night and his accomplishment. Selfish.
Narcissistic.
It's selfish.
But the other point I was going to say, because while they're going back and forth and he's pulling his exes, what she used to do, how she used to be, her lowest points, while he's pulling all that, she stays on the same thing about, you didn't thank me. He didn't show any gratitude for her or what she did.
He did though. He did in his own right. Just like any other individual would be like, I came home, I cook, I provide. For some people think that way, that I'm doing what a man's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So I felt in him telling his story about where all these little pieces and stuff that helped develop it wasn't all just her. He's dealt with some type of trauma himself.
He's dealt with other people's trauma. Because it wasn't based off of his life. It was based off of the lives that he saw, that he was around.
And that's something that.
But how does that thank her?
No, I'm not saying.
But
that
that's what we were talking about.
I'm not saying that it's thanking her. Maybe I was just trying to get back to my point. Because I lost myself in that train of thought. And what you were saying, what were you saying?
I was saying while they were going back and forth arguing, her one thing from the beginning, middle, and end was he didn't thank her. His thing was, she's selfish, you're a drug addict, you tried to hurt yourself.
So he's trying
all these women.
Got it. So he's trying to skip over that point by using the fact that he knows in his head all the stuff that he's already done. That should be appreciation enough. So where she came from, where they're at now, all the sacrifices that he had to make to get them to whatever point that they are now, and now being recognized for this and that, even though he likes it but doesn't like it, which is confusing.
That confused me too. I don't know.
So that was.
I'm not sure if he was proud or not.
Yeah, that was. But in his head, that's thanks and appreciation enough. Let's just focus on me for that night, and what I accomplished. The problem with that is, it wasn't just him that accomplished. They accomplished it together.
I don't think it was so much that
and he didn't
the
see
problem was that she didn't want to focus on him. I think that night was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Oh, for
because
sure.
However, I don't remember if they reference how long they were together, but for their stem of time being together, he doesn't.
I don't even know if they're married.
No, I don't think they're married. They're
boyfriend,
dating. Yeah. But in the stem of time of them being together, he has not thanked her for anything. Because if you listen to her monologue at the end about what he could have thanked her for.
His actions. I'm just saying, his head, his actions, the things that he has done.
But that's the thing.
He
hasn't.
He even mentioned, I did this for you, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But it's just in his head.
When she was strung out, he took her. When she was, like, in life-threatening situations, he was there for her, which is great. Mm-hmm. But in the everyday, she is on some sort of antidepressant and antipsychotic or something like that to help her stay stable.
And he not
she
helping.
Has been doing all sorts of good things. So she's been, clean, or however which way you would want to put it, for some time. Yeah. So throughout all of that, after that, like if you don't want to put in the before, but even after she got clean, her being there, helping, cleaning, cook, like there were no thank yous along the way. It was an expectation.
The most irritating part of the movie wasn't the fact that she made sure he had something to eat. It was how he was eating the food was so annoying. I consider that the Cookie Monster scene. He was just all up in the... is clanging the spoon. That's just nasty.
Like, I'm okay with people being loud. Like, talking loud, yelling, laughing loud. I'm okay with that. But, like, eating...
I don't want to hear that.
It should not, like... I don't know if, like... He must have been, like, mixing the mac and cheese around or something. I literally had to close my eyes during that part.
I couldn't do it.
But
I just heard...
There was so much, like, clanging, and then, like his chewing, and then he's trying to talk to...
But she knew him so well that she knew he got up for seconds. No, I didn't. That
was hilarious.
No, that was the funniest part of the movie for me. The fact that she knew you throughout the whole movie. You don't know how to diffuse a situation. Immediately after, infuse the situation.
I mean, the fact that she started off with, I don't want to talk about it tonight. Let's talk about it in the morning. Because she already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, she
And
knew.
then you don't know how to diffuse.
Yeah.
And then he takes that up and blows it up and then sparks this whole other issue, like all these conversations or continuous issue. And every time things would die down, if she would ask a question, he would be defensive, and then it would like blow up again. It's like
triggered.
You go right back to her statement. You don't know how to diffuse a situation unless, if I'm not mistaken, she says unless it's like work related.
Yeah, unless it's work related.
Outside of work, he doesn't know how to diffuse.
Which is why she didn't want to have the conversation, because the more which is a good thing that they had this conversation, because they started digging deep. But the more they had that conversation, she is getting more irritated because of that statement that she made. His response was agreeing to the fact that the lead actress, he would make sure she was good and all of this stuff. And I know she has a problem but how do you know though? Because I know that was an issue for her, because that means he's totally invested to the point where he could see when she has a problem, but he could not see that she, the person who was right there with you while you're writing this story, even though you admitted to the fact that the movie would not be as good as it was without y'all being together. So that's a point for her. All the points for her, but I'm just right now, that's a point for her. So you can see all of that, but you couldn't see that she was, and even if she said, no, I'm not angry. Why would she say she's angry in the midst of watching the movie with you that's premiering?
But that's
not the time nor the place.
He knew
he should have known.
He knew she was bothered at the premiere. And
he should have known why. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you can know the actress is having a problem and it's your job to make sure she's good, well, why isn't it your obligation, your want, your desire to make sure that the person that you're with is good?
Because of the second oh my gosh statement that she made while he was sitting there devouring the mac and cheese. when she said something to the effects of, I feel like once you know that you have a person and they're there with you, you forget about them.
That sounds like an episode we had previously. I knew she was going to be there. We can deal with this problem later. That is
exactly
not the right way to go. But I wouldn't call that toxic. I would just call that...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that in itself. So when you take all the little bits and pieces... It's not like, no, it's not like they're trying to work on this issue. They're trying to work on this issue. They're trying, but when you string everything together and you look at the grand scheme of things
it looks
and
bad.
How they interact, it doesn't just look bad. It's toxic. You know,
but I think every relationship has, I'm finna stab you with some stuff.
No.
Even, yes. Even, okay, answer me this. Answer me this.
Yes, bring me this.
When I said... all I want to do, all I want from you is to support me the way I need to be supported. Did that not stab you in the heart? Did it not hurt?
That's the thing.
Did it not hurt though? Did it hurt? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but you're taking it out of context.
How am I taking it?
Because it hurt me because you felt like I wasn't supporting you, which is not something I wanted. I never want you to feel like I don't support you.
Okay.
But no. But the difference is you didn't intentionally say that for me to be laying on the floor sobbing.
Because the way I said it, that's all I'm saying. Because the way, exactly. But it still hurt. Just like it still hurt. The delivery was terrible, but I'm not gonna call it toxic. It's just the delivery is bad.
His delivery is bad, but there is toxic behavior because, like he said, he wanted to snap her like a twig. His intent was to...
You said I could snap you like a twig. And then he went on to actually do it to prove a point as to why you don't need all this credit because I've dealt with all of this stuff previously before.
But that's the thing. He didn't just want to show that he's dealt with. He wanted to rub her face. That's the thing. This is where he was trying to be, or this is where anybody would be in an argument, a disagreement. Like, look, I'm going to show you, like, yeah, there is this. He went a step or 6 above that.
Lower.
To rub... No.
He went lower. He went low.
No, I'm not talking about under the belt. I'm talking about like this. Okay, so we're talking here. Okay, I need to take it up so you understand what I'm saying. He was like, no, I don't want you to understand. I want you to be in pain.
Because
I want to break you. Mm-hmm. That is toxic mentality. That is toxic behavior. And
it's difficult for me to judge, y'all.
The worst, it's not judgment.
To me, it feels that way.
Okay.
Because my mind doesn't. I'll put it like this: my mind doesn't allow me just to box everything in that moment, and then based on what I'm seeing, to have an idea of someone's relationship or what they're going through. Like, I can't do that because I'm not a part of everything. So I'm not just going to be like, oh, no, it had to have been things developing from before, and all of a sudden it's matured, and now the bubble has popped on both ends.
But that's the thing. It's not that it's so much matured. It's just it's accumulated to where you cannot hold it anymore. So I was thinking of a plant is closed, and then when it's matured now, I guess. So now it's open and like a flower blossoms.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay, so I don't know if it is the difference in our gender. I don't know if it's the difference of our past relationships. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is that toxic relationships all kind of have these similarities. That like these are things. You know, all dogs bark. They have 4 legs. They have a tail. Mm-hmm. All cats meow. They hate water. They like to just do their thing. They don't like follow rules. They just do their things. You know, like there are those general statements that you can make about a particular group of species or people. Toxic relationships have those general statements. And that desire to break someone down And that's the thing. It's not just necessarily, especially if you're dealing with someone who's narcissistic. It's not just I want to break you down. I want to break you down, but also manipulate you, make you feel like you still need me though. Like I am it for you. That is a toxic relationship. The effects of that, because normally with those relationships, you're not dealing with a physical abuse where someone can see that there's an issue. You're dealing with a verbal abuse, an emotional, a psychological abuse. That's something that person has to deal with that nobody else can see and nobody else will know about unless they speak on it. And a lot of people don't speak on it because it's like, well, people will just say, oh, well, you're just being sensitive. That is one of the biggest things, because it's like, no, I'm not just being sensitive. Like it is bad. And a lot of times it's hard to verbalize exactly how bad it is. Like it's one of those things where it's at the tip of my tongue, but I can't put my finger on it, kind of a thing.
Well, let's in closing from that, that, so that way we can change gears on how we're going to talk about this movie.
Okay.
I just feel he himself,
my gosh, they're just
because of his mentality, people want to say narcissistic is the word. There is a heightened immaturity on how to express emotions, I believe, from people who have that type of mentality or thought of themselves. It's just, ultimately, he was immature. Okay. I would say that. He hasn't developed enough to where he can really identify and empathize with someone given whatever situation that they've encountered that may have hurt them, affected them, because for some reason he can't read it. He can't read it and react. So I would just say, just immature, not having to. To be honest with you, I don't think he's ever even gotten to that point in any of his previous relationships, because the stuff he was naming off, it just seemed like it was a bunch of flings anyway.
Maybe
So I think I think he's just immature and inexperienced.
I think he just doesn't care.
I actually think he does care.
How? Support, sir. Support your statement.
He does care. I mean, one scene in the movie, she disappears and he's looking. He wants to know where she's at.
But is that for her benefit or his?
I just think he cares. He doesn't want her to leave. Because that was the first thing that she said. When you get pretty much, you get all comfortable and the people don't exist no more.
Yeah.
The moment she disappears because she needs her own moment, or she's trying to see if he actually cares, what does he actually do? He actually goes out looking for her. So for me, I see that as a positive.
Can I chime in really quick?
That he actually cares. Like, where's my girl at? Because I don't want you to leave.
That is a great point. And if he didn't exhibit other behaviors, I would agree with that. However, because he exhibit other behaviors, it's not so much where is she at. I want to make sure she's okay. I'm mad at you, but I want to make sure you're okay. It's more so, where are you at? Because I need that attention. Like, even
you could say she needed that attention.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Because you walked out.
I'm not done. No, she went out there to go pee because they had a backyard. She hasn't gotten used to the idea of having a backyard. Which I thought that was hilarious.
That was just a joke.
No, I think it was too. I think she just wanted to be alone. Mm-hmm. But anyways, but even besides that, because she came in and her attitude was the same. It wasn't like, oh, okay, was he looking for me? No, she came in, started doing what she was doing.
Everyone's in their emotions.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're saying he cared. He went out and he was searching. Where was she?
I believe
I believe that he was, where is she? I need her either positive or negative attention. But either which way it is, I need her attention. Because he's still trying to celebrate. Yeah, but I'm sorry.
He's still trying to celebrate?
But that's for him. He's not concerned about her. He's concerned about him not having her attention. That doesn't mean he's concerned for her or about her.
I guess.
It's about him. That's why I said, was it for him or was it for her? I believe it was for himself.
I just think they're two troubled people trying to figure it out.
They are.
And I just find the positive in it, that they were still talking to each other. It wasn't the best. It was great communication because there's no interruption, and that could be the way that it was written. But regardless, it's a lesson for us, everyone, to be able to communicate that way in a nice way, obviously. But the fact of not overlapping each other, just hear what you got to say. All right, hear what you got to say, and you're just doing that. You're not crossing over, elevating your voice because you really want this point to get across, even though she's talking or I'm talking. I just thought that was good. Their commitment to staying with it, and they're being completely transparent in their emotions. They use some big words too while they're doing it. But so that I just felt that at least that was that. Regardless of how we want to view their relationship, for them, they're committed to each other, obviously.
But that's
when it got to the end, I felt it was good. That he was actually breaking. I feel, I want to be positive, that the movie is in black and white.
Yes, which I loved.
Which I like, because love is not black and white.
I just think they wanted you to focus on the dialogue.
Probably, but from the visual, love is not black and white.
Right.
Because if it was, it would probably be boring. Because everyone's a different person. So everyone's operation of love cannot be the same in a relationship with someone who thinks different.
I get that.
So black and white. So there's a gray area there. And so I'm looking from the point of the movie that the way that they're watching the sun rise together. To me, it's being symbolic that there's brighter days coming. And it looked like
being optimistic.
Yes, and it looked like they were actually conversing. There wasn't no like he was before throughout the whole movie.
His fight scene with the air was
he's stomping around and stuff like that. She wasn't doing all of this disinterested body movement. It seemed like they were actually going to be bridging forward. They got everything off their chest, and so now they can actually move forward, because there wasn't the movie didn't just end. The movie ended with them standing next to each other, side by side.
Right.
Not him in front of her. The woman was right beside him.
Okay. Yes.
In the behind. There's a good man, there's a great woman beside her, not behind him. So that's how I feel. So I'm glad you're being optimistic. Gotta be.
And I am going to choose to be hopeful. Not optimistic, but hopeful. But then speak from a realistic standpoint that at the end, I think it was before. I think it was before she made her statement, her monologue about all the different ways he could have thanked her, that she told him, I know that this is the best you're going to be. This is it. She's basically choosing. She knows that she has to make the choice that I'm either going to live with this for forever or not.
And that's the beauty of it. She chose to be committed to him, and I feel that he's realized that, and it's going to be a positive future between the two of them. Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Toxic relationships
we're not interrupting each other.
Yeah, you interrupted me. Toxic relationships are toxic, and they can be cyclical. So even though she's choosing that, she could also be hopeful that there will be a change, because at the end it did seem like he understood. But understanding and understanding to change are two different things. Because I can understand, but still decide to be stubborn and stuck in my ways and no, but this is what I'm going to do, or this is how I'm going to be regardless.
It's going to be all right.
So, I mean, I believe she's being hopeful that, through that night. Now, realistically, what's going to happen, we don't ever know. But
that's what I was going to say. She was a mastermind.
She's an amazing actress.
Because no, I'm talking about Marie, not Zendaya herself. The character.
Yeah, I know.
Is a mastermind. She, at every turn, used his ideology or his form of communication against him flawlessly. Mm-hmm. Even down to the type of music he decided to play while taking the drink after obviously the sensual mood was killed and he didn't even recognize it because it's like, oh, finally something so people can see who you really are, killed the mood. And so he's sitting on the couch playing a certain music. She comes back with the pettiness galore. But I like it. Even though you're going to rip my heart out, stomp on my dreams, kill me, all this stuff, but I still love you. And he couldn't take it and had to get up, walk out. I just felt like
that was good.
She just kept in the nicest way she possibly could.
Even to the fact where
she cut him a few times, but
even to the fact where she did the scene about her not being on her meds and I slept with your brother, your friend.
Yeah. Well, why did she do that then? That's the only point he had.
And then to come out of that, I mean, I was like, there's no way she's gonna go through all of that and then actually be like messed up and insane. I know there's no way. No, and then to come out of that, like. And then his whole point, what does authenticity get you? That's what authenticity can get you. Mm-hmm. An amazing performance to make your masterpiece even better. That is what...
Well, she proved her point because she said, do you think the movie would be better if we never met? He said no. And so she just proved her point again by me being in the movie, it would have been even better.
Right.
I would say... He has a point by saying, you're going to chase after your dreams. This is what you want to do. Never give up. Yeah. Push through it. But also at the same time, you did use a piece of her to write this movie based on your relationship. So...
And apparently wrote it with her mind.
You have...
Like to act.
It's, some people say conflict of interest. But when you're writing and casting people, you go with the best people. Or you get to choose because you're the guy. Mm-hmm. So he has to weigh that. You use some of her, you guys' relationship, you have personal insight, you got information from her personally, input on the movie. Mm-hmm. Then at the same time, this is your woman that you know what her dreams and aspirations are. It was sad that he didn't just go with her.
I know.
Because you not doing that, it's just all that shows is that you don't have any belief or trust that she would be able to even do the role. And that's a slight against her that she's feeling.
That was one thing I wasn't quite clear about. Did she actually audition for it or did she never actually audition? Because at one point it made it seem like she didn't audition at all. She just gave up. And then like towards the end, he's like, you should have did that in the audition. Like she auditioned, but it wasn't a good audition, which I have a hard time believing that she couldn't play that role. I live this, so I'm just gonna do what I used to do. I was confused about whether or not she actually auditioned in the first place. Because I mean, if she never auditioned, then that was unfortunately, and yes, he absolutely had a point with you don't give up. But then if she did audition and she wasn't chosen, like I said, I doubt she would deliver a subpar performance.
And think he said he should have just done. I wouldn't say that she didn't do the audition. I don't think she actually did. I don't think she did the audition.
You can wait until after I was finished to say that.
No, I just didn't think she did.
But I know, but at the end he's like, we should have did that in the audition. But anyways.
So my next thing was the other thing that she's literally pointed out his flaws. She's trying to be the mirror image so he can see and change because she loves him. She wants there to be a future with him. And so the other thing that she did was talk about jealousy. Mm-hmm. So there's moments in time or in a relationship where that needs to kick in at some point, because then that gives the other person affirmation that you actually desire them, you value them, you need them, because that was like, you wouldn't even care if another guy was on my arm and blah.
If I was on another man's arm.
What is wrong with you? If you were to ever do that, my jealousy would kick in at that point. I'm not a jealous person.
I don't think it would.
Oh, it would. I'd be like, what? I probably wouldn't react. I would not react in that moment, but I'll talk to you later and be like, well, what is all of that?
Well, see, and then, so to me, that wouldn't be a display of jealousy.
No, because
you would just be mad at me.
I wouldn't,
because I'm next to this other guy.
I wouldn't know how to react to that. So I would just be best if I just.
That's the thing.
Collect my thoughts, and we'll talk about that later.
Jealousy is a reaction of an instinctual nature. So it's not. Reaction. Let me think through this. Mm-mm. It's no. It's what? No, excuse you, and then you know. You're here with me, kind of. I mean, in that situation, because she's talking about being on somebody else's arm, but
yeah. So I just thought like she wants affirmation. So that was another display that she was calling for from him. Mm-hmm. That you, like, man, you just act like I just feel like you don't even care. Not seen, heard, or valued.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
ain't no words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing.
I wonder if they know about the 5 love languages.
I don't know. But they seemed like they was learning something that night. Yeah, but that's my thing. So let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. Am I Malcolm?
You have traits.
What traits do I have?
You get very stuck on your point of view and what you feel is important. And it's difficult at times for you to understand how what's important for you may not be important for or to me or others. Okay. And then the other second part is you are still learning how to articulate your emotions, be it in the midst of an argument, before an argument, or after an argument.
I'm new to this.
You're still learning how to articulate, and sometimes, like him, you just choose not to try. So that's when the jabs come in, like, okay, well, I'm not going to try, so I'm just going to do something that I know is going to irritate you, or that I know irritates you, and then you'll probably end up leaving me alone, and then we don't have to talk about this. Yeah, don't act like I don't know, because I just like I know.
I would say I identify with the possessiveness of accomplishments, and that's something that I really have to. I feel I have to work on, because we've had a conversation. I've even announced it. It's been 10 years in the making. Finally able to do it. I did it. Even the last episode, I just want my. What did you want? Brownie points? What did you want?
Yeah, or I didn't say brownie points. I said kudos, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, whatever. You wanted some points, and I was just like, no.
Gratitude. I wanted gratitude.
I still made the decision. I still put the work ethic into it. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that's stayed consistent with it. So that I feel I identify with Malcolm, because he wholeheartedly. I wrote it. I did. So I think that's something that is a word that needs to no longer exist in my vocabulary.
So what about what I said? Because you asked me a question and I answered, and for one thing, you touched on. Yeah. Excuse me. You touched on new to this as far as the emotion or articulating your emotions.
Yeah, because I've been, I guess you could say, in past relationships, allowed not to really have to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm new to that.
But as you say, past, and as you always tell me, leave the past in the past. So leave the past in the past, because the past was quite some time ago. So in the future, in the present,
okay,
you've still not done it. But even
let like I'm gonna be able to flick the switch and all of a sudden.
But see, that's the thing. Every time we talk about it, you're always like, I'm gonna be able to flip the switch. Like, we just got together yesterday, and you just now learned that you have to start talking about your emotions. We've been talking since,
like I said,
at least 3 years. So like at least 3 years.
Like I said before, at each level of a relationship, the expectations change.
But not if you have honest, open, transparent communication as the basis and foundation. And
the village and the viewers have already know that wasn't for me. That was for me to receive, but that was me to give.
Right, in the initial, and then it was understood shortly thereafter that is no.
Just like Malcolm, you can understand doesn't mean it's going to be changed.
See?
So obviously,
you decided to be stubborn.
That's what led. Well, we've already did that.
I'm saying that's one of the comparisons I made between the two of you guys.
Yeah, and between us, you stubborn too. Don't just do me like that.
Oh, I am stubborn, but I am not stubborn on certain things, especially things that will benefit and grow.
So, like I said,
our relationship.
That's something it's a continual process. Because you always want to become a better you. So it's not once you flip the switch on, there's work that needs to be put on so the power in the switch stays up. Right,
but you have to constantly, continuously.
Of course, that's what I just said.
That's
what I just said.
Continuously.
Yeah, you gotta feed into
it. All the time.
Yeah.
Every day. Even when you don't want to, like working out. Even when you don't want to.
I don't work out.
Do it. Well, I know, but for you, working out isn't necessarily absolute.
I know.
Definitely gotta.
Still got some guns in.
Yeah, for some of us, we have to. I don't want to do these push-ups. But
so are you? So are you, Marie? What do you see?
To be honest, I think I'm more like Malcolm.
What?
Yeah, I mean, like I have my Marie qualities where I do have the instinctual and I have finessed the ability to use your words, mannerisms, monikers against you.
Yeah, people love to do that.
I mean, I have finessed that, but where it comes with Malcolm, that intensity, because Marie seemed to be a lot more. She was able to be, very calm and grounded.
She was grounded.
Where for me, I can, like this is my one point, and as hard as I try to stick to that point, sometimes other things come into play.
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes I'm able to redirect to get back to that point, but I do I do bring in the other things. And so that's more of a Malcolm-esque type trait than a Marie type trait. Now, I'm not like Malcolm in the I'm gonna stab you, break you to the pieces.
No,
not that, but just
keep
the
doing
intensity.
And so focused on your point or what you believe, yeah.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Oh, I was saying that.
Yeah, I know, but you were also interrupting me, so I'm making that invalid because you were interrupting me.
It's valid.
So now you can say it. What were you saying?
No, I
But that's the thing. I understand because you point that out, and yes, that is true. But we also have to highlight the reason, and the reason that I get stuck on how I'm feeling, not just passionate, how I'm feeling and what I think is because how I feel and what I think is not being acknowledged. So I have to continue. So I feel it's not that I have to. I feel I have to continue to. I have to continue to bring it up, say it over and over until I know that you're understanding.
But why do you do that?
I can't know that until you actually acknowledge.
But why do you do it though? Even if there isn't any acknowledgement, why do you still continue to do it?
That doesn't make sense. I don't understand.
Because there's love.
That's
why you continue to do something.
No, actually, because there's hurt.
Well, of course there's hurt.
That's why.
But even if someone's hurt and doesn't care anymore, then you just walk away and be like, forget this. I ain't had time for it no more.
That's true.
So there's love that's still causing you to have the desire to communicate what you're feeling because you really want your loved one to understand where you're coming from.
And in that, I'm like Marie.
For me, that's Malcolm and Marie.
But I'd say that's more of a because she kept trying to bring
she just this is what I want. This is what I want.
Same part.
Okay,
Same
let me
part.
mirror. Let me mirror you real quick. All right, this is what I want. Let me mirror again. All right, this is what I
Which
want.
is interesting because I did the mirror thing and you did not like that.
No, who likes that? Who wants to see themselves do stuff that they technically not supposed to do in the mirror?
Did not like that.
No one wants to do that.
So why do you have this here?
That's like So their acting was superb.
It was.
They should win all the Grammys, the Oscars, the best athlete in the world award. They need it all because of course, to be able to have that much breath to say all them words and then collapse on the couch, that's athletic.
That's some very serious.
That's why she's like, you get it all out. She barely tapped him and he fell off the whole couch on his back. Mm-hmm. So he was tired. He put in 8 quarters. It was a long basketball game.
8 quarters.
So that was great acting. The writing was pretty cool, also, but a lot of words though. Mm-hmm. A lot of words. So that was
I'd actually like to watch it again so now I won't have the initial shock of the actions. And
I think that's what it is. People are watching this and that explains that big word on this wonderful red love piece of paper. Triggered.
I'm about to be triggered. If you'll stop interrupting me over and over after saying great communication. One talked, the other listened, then the other talked. Nobody interrupted.
It's just proof, though.
That you don't do it?
It's proof that it's a work in progress.
But you actually have to work at it. You can't just say it. So you got to, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah. Go ahead. You don't do that. You just continue to talk.
I've interrupted a few times. But it wasn't through the whole thing.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It was at different moments.
Throughout this whole thing.
But it wasn't the whole time.
It can't be the whole time because then you would just be the only person talking, so you wouldn't be able to interrupt me. But throughout the entire time of us talking, however long this is, you interrupted.
I didn't just now, see?
Yeah. Ooh. Kudos. Mm-hmm. But no, were you triggered by the movie?
No.
Because I know
I've said that's what people are going to, when you watch it, that's your initial thing. You're going to be triggered. But to me, it's showing a dark side to love.
Why don't you think you were triggered? Because you apparently expect everybody else to be.
I wasn't expecting everybody else to
be.
We watched it after the fact. That's why I said that's why people are triggered.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I'm looking at everyone's comments and everyone's reviews. Everyone's like triggered, toxic, overwhelming, exhausting.
So why do you think everyone else was triggered and you were not?
Initial shock
of
everything that's going on. In my perspective, obviously, when we started this out, was different. I'm not just going to just harp on the trigger exhausting train.
Well, no,
it's bad, but I'm not just going to be like, oh.
I saw what people wrote, but
I've never spoken with or interacted with anyone who's ever had to deal with a relationship like this. So I don't have a personal connection like that. No, I haven't. No, yours was after the fact. If that's what you fit, if that's
What are you talking about?
Your situation or things that I don't know.
Whole sentences.
Oh, okay. That's different.
I don't know what you're talking. Honestly,
I don't even know what I'm talking about. No one knows what it's talking about. We're talking in circles.
No, you.
I'm talking in circles.
I'm trying to jump in, but I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. We're gonna talk about it later.
But no,
we're talking about it off camera.
Why? I forgot what I was going to say.
The viewers don't need to get this. They need to join the Patreon if you want to hear what we're about to talk about after this.
Yes.
Because this sounds like something that needs to be said off camera.
Oh, okay.
But anyways. Any final thoughts?
Like I said, masterfully crafted, amazing acting. Love the scenery, the black and white kind of open spaces. In watching,
you want an open space house.
I do. It's true. I do. It's like, oh, I love that. They have all this acreage outside. I love it. But I was watching somebody a review from Miss Kev on Stage and Kev on Stage, and they
the
were
Love Hour.
Yeah, the Love Hour podcast, and they were hinting at, I guess there's some sort of hint of racism or something, which I'm gonna have to look into because I don't really know. Like when they were talking about the different filmmakers and like comparing Malcolm to the filmmakers, and like I don't know, there was some sort of dynamic. I'm gonna have to dive into that because I'm not very familiar. Like he knows filmmakers and writers' names. I don't
know that.
And I'm not saying specifically for this movie, but you know of like that's a so and so movie. Oh, I'm gonna watch that because it's them. I don't know those things.
No clue what's being said.
Shonda Rhimes?
Shonda.
Is it Shonda Rhimes?
What about Shonda Rhimes?
You were so upset because I was watching Bridget. You know it's Shonda. I'm like I know that now that you told me, but I don't know.
That's Grey's Anatomy.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't know she did that.
I
didn't know she did that until you told me she did that.
This is a few other things that.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like those are things that you've tapped.
Run to ABC.
Those are things that you've tapped into that I don't know. So I'm gonna have to look at that because.
I don't know.
But besides that, because like I said, they were mentioning it, so I was like, oh, okay, what's that about? But besides that, I mean, it was very masterfully created.
I have no clue what you're talking about. Not really that interested. All I know is a white guy wrote this movie, Sam Levinson.
Yep.
And there was about 3 producers that I saw on the list that are black.
Okay.
The main leads, Zendaya, John David Washington, Kid Cudi, don't know his other name, just know him as Kid Cudi. Those are the producers. That's all that I know. So,
well, like I said, I
have no clue. Not really interested. But the movie is interesting, and it can be a tough watch for people who might identify. There are some moments in which I got a little nervous, like, oh, is this gonna trigger her, and now we're gonna be like them? Well, not like them, but bring up some stuff, and now we have a into the morning argument because obviously they probably only got like 2 hours of sleep after all of that.
Maybe.
So yeah, that was my only. I was like, oh, okay, but yeah, that's all I have to say. If anything, you should know that you learned the opposite of what this shirt says. Do the opposite of that, and make sure you're always protecting your queen. Yeah. Just as.
And say, do what the shirt says, not the opposite of what this is.
Yeah, do the opposite of the movie.
Oh,
do what the shirt says. Like always protect your queen. That's what my shirt says, and Malcolm failed to do that. I'm hopeful that the way the movie ended, that's going to usher in a new mentality, and they're going to be all right because love is a beautiful and wonderful thing, and she constantly expressed that to him by being there still and trying to show him himself. So that way there can be improvement. And so I hope that gets there. Otherwise, that kitchen scene could have turned ugly, and then now he would feel very terrible if she would have hurt herself. Because he was worried. Oh, he was. He didn't know what to do.
Stupendous performance in a performance.
For real. Yeah.
All right, so always trust your king.
And you can only do that by honest, open, transparent communication.
Mutually between the two of you, not expected for just one person.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. I mean, I built it a one-way street, but you know.
No, you thought you did.
I did. It lasted for a little bit, a couple months. But
you built a one-way street.
Let me have my moment.
And then I came in with the white paint. Months.
And so she decided to extend and create another lane.
Yep. Only way to do it.
Lay her own yellow lines, white lines, the asphalt, all of that.
We got it together.
It's a two-way street when it comes to love. It's equal exchange through that form of communication. Honest, open, transparent, and sometimes it can be hot. So, we thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you guys when we see you.